right, so in case you don't know who we are, I'm Melissa Knife, and I am the Elementary Instructional Technology Facilitator. It sounds big, but basically just kind of means that we're like digital coaches. We come in and help the teachers and the students with technology needs. Melissa Elliott is the middle school Instructional Technology Facilitator, so she's going to be helping us with this process. And Adam Wiseman is at the high school, and so he's going to be helping us as well. So just kind of let you know who we are and what we're kind of going to be doing. Melissa actually completed this process last year, so she's going to do a lot of the talking today. I'm going to do it with you. So as we go through this however long it takes us, I'm going to do this part with you. So we're going to kind of look at it that way. So I'm going to turn this part over to Melissa. If you've not signed in, feel free to. If you've not picked up a packet, grab one of those so you can kind of follow along if you need to. And there's candy if you need a sugar rush. Okay?
You mind opening up the presentation?
I will. But you're going to have to get close so they can hear you.
Oh, close to the computer. Oh, boy. On your paper, I gave QR codes for the Google Educator training. You can use your iPad and scan it, of course, or your phone, just so you can see where the training site is located. I recommend you do the training modules on your computer just because it's easier. It's easier to manipulate all the videos and all those things, but you can access this through your iPad or your iPhone. And I've put also the Google Apps Learning Center has tons of different information, helpful lesson plans and things like that go with all of your Google Apps for Education. That's what the other QR code is for. And also, if you're interested in Google Classroom, we have set up a Google Educator Google Classroom that all of you will have the code and be able to join. And so in that Google Classroom, I have added all of the links to all of these things as well. And so you can ask questions there, we can give responses, everybody can collaborate there, and just make the process a little bit easier. So, what do you need to do to become certified? Have any of you looked into this yet? Have any of you looked into this yet? At all? You have? You did some of this last year, right? Okay, so it's not this big, bad thing, I promise you. It is several modules, but it is all videos, and it walks you through all of the Google Apps that you have access to. When I say Google Apps, I'm talking your Docs, your Drive, your Gmail, your YouTube, your Google Classroom, Calendar. All of those things are part of your Google Apps for Education. And there are 4 levels of certification. There's Google Educator Level 1, which is what we're going to be working through this year if you decide to do this. Okay? There's also Google Educator Level 2. I'm going to be going through that process this year, so I'll kind of be a year ahead of you so I can kind of guide you through the process if I pass. Passed last year, so I think it'll be fine. And then you can go on to become a Google Certified Trainer as well as a Certified Innovator. Now, those have a little more cost associated. I know some people have been wondering, well, what's this going to cost me? It's going to cost you nothing, actually. The whole process, all of the training is located within off of your Gmail, off of your Google account. So you don't have to pay for any of that. The test is actually $10, but Dr. Slutsky is working on getting everybody vouchers from Google. So when you're ready to take your test, we have the voucher and it'll give you a code and you won't have to pay anything and then have to worry about getting reimbursed. So Google Educator Level 1 is what we're going to work on. I'm going to play you just a little video. I did this video just so you could see how to access your training. You want to hit that for me? How loud it'll be.
To begin your training to become a Google Certified Educator Level 1, you will go to the Training Center Certified Educator Level 1 link. When you get there, you are going to need to sign in with your Gmail account. Since I've signed in today, it's going to show up this way. Yours will probably have an allow button that you'll mash, and that's okay. Down the side, you'll see Certified Educator Level 1, 2, a Certified Trainer, and a Certified Innovator. You would start with Certified Educator Level 1, and all of the training modules are located right here. So you click on Get Training, and then you will see all of the different modules that you will take. Within each module, there are videos, there are articles, there's lots of different information. And once you complete a module, you will get a green check that lets you know that that one is completed. We're going to talk about each module in length in just a moment.
Okay, so I wanted you to see how you access that. Like I said, whenever you go into your to one of those links that I've given you, you can either scan it and go to it that way, or you can type in at Google Educator Level 1. It's going to take you there. You'll sign in, and it will give you your Gmail address, your school Gmail address. And when you click on that, it's going to allow you to go ahead and sign in. Okay? It might have you click allow, and if it does, you'll see everything will be attached to your Gmail address. Okay? So that's what that looks like. If I go too fast, please feel free to stop me. It's not letting me go past this. I want to hit it. Stop me at any time. I gave you this presentation so you can take notes if you want to, or if you have questions, if you don't feel like asking questions out loud, feel free to ask us after, however you want to do it. But when you get to the page where you start the training, again in the video I showed you, this is what it looks like. And so if you're an educator who knows how to use Google Tools, this certification program is going to take you just a little bit further. If you are someone who has zero experience with your Google Apps, let's say you check your Gmail and that's about it, that's okay too, because it's going to take you, you're going to be able to look at the videos and look at the information and get what you need from where you're starting, okay? For example, how many of you know that you have a YouTube account attached to your Google Apps and that you can get to it through your little apps grid up in the corner? Most people don't know that. You have your very own YouTube channel. And so you will learn all the ins and outs of how to use that YouTube channel or how to share those with students and how to use that in your classroom. So there's a lot that you'll learn through going through this process. Okay, so the modules. Everybody's been kind of asking me at the middle school level, do you think that it will really take this long? Will it really take, 11 hours to complete these courses? And it really depends on your level of experience. For example, the first unit is get ready to use technology in the classroom. This module talks about best practices for using technology in your classroom. If you're used to using technology in your classroom, this module is not going to take you 85 minutes. You're not going to need all of the videos that are there. You're not going to need all of the articles and the information. And once you start reading it and looking at it, you're going to know your level of comfort there. Okay? The 85 minutes is kind of what they think someone who has never used this tool or thought about this, that it would take them that long. Does that make sense? Okay, so when you finish, it gives you the green check. That doesn't mean you can't go back. You can go back into the module, you can look at what's there, you can look at the information as many times as you want, but at the end it gives you a little quiz. Now the quiz questions that they give you after the modules are basically the same types of questions they're going to give you on the exam. A hint, you can print those off. You can print them off and you can use them when you take the assessment. However, when you take the assessment at the end, you can't go in and out of other windows. Okay, and I'll explain more about that in a little bit. So my suggestion would be, as you work through the modules, you take the questions and everything. Now, they may not be verbatim on the exam, but they're very, very close. Okay, so when you get that little green check, you know that you have passed that section and you've passed that little review assessment. So Unit 2, expand your access to help and learning. This section talks about how you can use the Google apps and how you can use the Learning Center to connect with other teachers. Once you do this, you basically belong to a professional learning network, a PLN, and that's going to be something that they talk about through the modules, where you can get support, you can join groups where maybe you are a counselor, Sally, and there are other counselors that use these tools and you'll be able to connect with them, or media specialists or EC teachers. However, whatever role you're in, you will find teachers who are using these tools in their classroom and you'll be able to share and collaborate with those resources. Stop me at any time, Melissa. Okay. Alrighty. Moving on to Unit 3. Unit 3 is where you can learn to have a mostly paperless classroom. I caution people from saying completely paperless because I love books. I love writing. I love all those things. Just to be able to copy my notes, that was my thing as a kid. I mean, I caution people from taking it completely away. But with Google Classroom, those of you that use Google Classroom, you know what all you can do with that. And if you're unfamiliar with it, you're really going to learn here how you can use that to keep your parents updated as well as your students updated on their assignments. So you'll learn a lot about Google Classroom. In the Save Time Communicating, Unit 4, you're going to learn about Google Calendar and how to work more efficiently in your classroom, as well as your Gmail. So this one combines your Gmail and your Google Calendar and how you can help serve yourself to be more efficient with your time. Unit 5, like I said, if I go too fast, just stop me. Unit 5 helps you organize activities for yourself and others. So again, this is Google Calendar. This is going to teach you how to share those calendars, how to use those calendars to sign up for meetings, so you don't have to constantly go and track everybody down, how you can send those invitations, and people can accept those to where you know if a particular room is available. Let's say the cafeteria staff, I know at West last year, the cafeteria manager, she really wanted to know when the field trips were coming up, and she was having a hard time getting that invitation or that information from the teachers. And so she created a Google Calendar, and so the teachers went ahead and put that on there so she could look ahead and see, okay, I need to order this much, or I need to have bag lunches, and it really helped. So this could be something to make your classroom a little more efficient. And you can see that one's only 34 minutes. If you're used to using your Google Calendar, it won't take near that time. Okay, bringing your meetings online. This one is going to talk about Google Hangouts and how to use Google Hangouts to have your meetings to where everybody doesn't have to be there in the same place at the same time, as long as they have their computer or a device where they can have Google Hangout. You can have your meetings from anywhere. Let's say you go to the beach for a week and you need to communicate with your students for your substitute, and most of our substitutes find a way to get on. They'll get a login from someone, and so you could do a Google Hangout with your students. Or didn't you use Google Hangout between classes last year?
Yes, I have several classes that have used it that way, and I have some schools right now that are using Google Hangout and doing their announcements that way in the mornings. Now, granted, it's starting to Google Hangouts online is going to go away soon, so I'm not sure if they're going to update this training for that or not.
Changing it to the YouTube
It
Live.
is. So
yeah,
we'll see how that goes.
So, well, and that brings me to a good point. If a resource goes away with Google, they will update this system. So this is all connected to Google. So if they take something away, they'll either replace it with something else in the training. They wouldn't still ask you those questions on the assessment if it's no longer there. But what happens with Google, if you notice, every so many days they come up with something different. On Google Classroom, they've just added recently the invitations to parents, so parents can see what assignments are due, things like that, different extensions that you can add on, things like that. So this test, when you take the assessment at the end, it's only good, your certification, for 2 years. And the reason is because within a 2-year time span, there'll be new things that'll come out, some of the technology might change. So it is good from 2 years from when you certify. Okay, bringing student work online. Unit 7, this again is Google Classroom, but this focuses on the student portion, how students turn in their work. And this one is a little longer. This module is just a little bit more lengthy because there's lots of ins and outs there in terms of how students collaborate and share within the different programs, and how they post their work and how you give grades and things like that. So you will learn all of that through this module. On the bottom one, Unit 8 there, measure, understand, and share student growth. This one focuses on sheets. This is going to focus on the spreadsheet portion, and it's going to help you analyze data and make graphs from the work that you receive from your students. Teaching students online skills in Unit 9. This one has to do with cyber safety. It focuses some on that and teaching students responsible use within these tools. So you'll learn some things about that. I know at the beginning of a year at the middle school level, I feel like that's where we're weak. A lot of times we hand them the Chromebooks and we don't really talk about those things, and we kind of forget that those kids might need that. Same thing at the elementary level. You hand them the device and we kind of think of it as an afterthought when somebody does something they shouldn't. So this gives you ideas on how to incorporate that into your lessons, okay? Building interactive lessons. This one focuses on using your Google Slides, because now you have the portion of Google Slides where you can ask questions, or the kids can ask questions while you're doing the presentation, and it will alert you that there are questions. and then you can collaborate that way. So that's what that one focuses on. Unit 11, Captivate Your Class with Video. This one is all about YouTube, how you use your YouTube channel and how you can upload videos into your YouTube channel. If at the elementary level, even though your kids have a YouTube channel, are they blocked, Alyssa, from YouTube? The kids are blocked. Teachers, however, are not blocked. And we talked with someone earlier about the fact that there are different ways. What'd you say, Pure?
ViewPure is a great resource to put a YouTube video in that the kids can watch, and then Safe Share.
And Safe Share. And we can put those links on there as well, where you can still put video, YouTube video, into your Google Classroom, but you'll change that video from a YouTube video to another format. That way when the kids open it, they do not have all the ads or the other videos that come up on the side that could be questionable. So, alrighty, facilitating group work, Unit 12. One of the great things about the Google Apps is the ability to collaborate. If you have students working on a slides presentation, and the student is, the students have gone to other classes. Let's say you're Beth and you're an AIG teacher and you have the kids for a small amount of time, but then they're still working on a project for you and they're in different classrooms. As long as they've shared and given access to their other teammates, they can work from wherever they are in the school. If they have computer access at home, internet access, then they're going to be able to do that. Now, some of the Google apps they can use if they have a Chromebook, right? And it doesn't even have to be online. So that's a good feature. And then the last unit, Unit 13, again, promoting digital citizenship and positive online behavior. That's kind of at the end. It recaps how you would make sure that you're following those good citizenship rules with your students using all of these tools. So all in all, when I added up all that time, it came up to about 11 hours. If it took you the full amount of time to do it, it would take about 11 hours. You will be at the end filling out, we're going to give you credit for today, I think. We're going to get you credit for today, and then you would get credit. You would turn in, if let's say, worst case scenario, if you didn't pass your test, you could still get your credit for doing the 11 hours. I would say that you could print off your sheet that has all those green checks with your name and put the 11 hours on that and then turn that in. At the end, if you pass the test, you get a little badge and you get a certificate, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But the things you're going to find when you're doing the training within the Google Learning site, you're going to find about your tools and your devices. You're going to have a whole area on ideas, and that's the Professional Learning Network. That's where you're going to find all the lesson plans and all of the ways that teachers and people within the schools are using these Google apps. And even if you decide not to do the training, you still have access to this. If you start and you think, okay, this might not be for me, or I just don't have the time right now, one thing we want to emphasize is you're not locked in. This is a voluntary thing that you're doing if you decide to do it. And if you're not in any time frame, we don't have a deadline or a due date. So like some of my people last year at East and West, they started the process. They're about halfway finished, and they just couldn't get finished when it became testing season and everything got crazy, or sports season. And so they're picking up the pace now and working on it again. And I had some people who made it through all the modules, and they didn't take their test until over the summer. And then they passed it over the summer, and that's fine. You'll get your certificate, then we'll turn that in, and you get an extra 3 hours, because the test, you can have up to 3 hours to do it. Just what you're looking for. So your Google Apps is going to cover, all your training is going to cover all of these things right here. It's going to cover Classroom, it's going to cover Drive, Docs, Gmail, Calendar, Hangouts, until Hangouts goes away, until the video Hangouts goes away, Sheets, Slides, and Forms. You're also going to get a little bit of information about all of these. YouTube will be on the test, but it's a very small part. But you also have access to all of these other things, Blogger, Google Groups, Google Sites. Sites is where you can make a website, or your kids can make a website. I know several people who use Google Sites for their students to do online portfolios because they can keep their work there. It's a great way to do that. But you'll learn about all these things as well, but the only one in this section that's tested is YouTube. And this is what your badge and your certificate looks like. You would turn in your certificate up here to Nicole Lewis, and get your CEUs. And I'm just going to write on mine, 11, 14 hours, because the hours of the modules and then the hours for the test. You get this little badge. Now you can go and get this badge online. You can copy and paste it, but they tell you not to do that. You don't have the rights to use it, but they will send you a badge, and I have it attached to my Gmail. So in my Gmail signature, it now says that, and once you pass the test and you earn the right, you can use that badge on resumes, applications, whatever, and it can be verified that you're actually a Google certified educator. So I know that was kind of fast. A little bit of information about the test. I don't want to scare you about the test. Everybody hears test and exam and they think, no. The test is a little weird. I'm going to be really honest with you. My suggestions for the test, if you take the test, you need to take it at a place where you have a really good internet connection where your internet's not going to drop. Now, I decided I thought I would be wise, and when my daughter was in dance class for 5 hours, I would sit and try to take the test there. Well, their internet was not stable, and it dropped. And if it drops you while you're taking the test, it automatically fails you. Okay? So I suggest taking it at school if you're not sure that your home access is, not going to drop. They also have you, they set up you a fictitious account. They'll send you an email, and it'll have the Google account. So basically, you sign out of your Google account, and you sign in with this new one. And it has everything in it that you need to take the test. It's going to have about 20 multiple choice questions. And when I say multiple choice questions, it's not multiple choice with one answer. And you'll see what I mean when you go through and you take some of the little reviews at the end of the modules. It might say, pick the three answers. Like it might have 3 answers. It might have 4 answers. And you have to get all the answers, and you'll see that when you take those little reviews because it won't pass you on that section until you get, but you can go back and change it and see and do it until you get them right. So, also they have you on a webcam during the test. So you need to be at a computer that has a webcam. If you're on your laptop, you'd be fine. If you're on a desktop, just make sure you have a webcam when you're ready to take the test because you have to pull up yourself. Whoever is there can verify that you're there, and it might take your picture throughout the process to prove that you're the one that's there taking the test. Again, you can't go into any other windows, so you're within that fictitious account that they set up for you. And if you go out of it and go somewhere else, it's going to, stop that testing session. Okay, so you have to stay in that testing session. When you finish, you have up to 3 hours. It took me 1 hour and 45 minutes to take it. Stephanie Vestal might be here in a little while. She teaches at West, and she took it last year and passed. Her first time taking it, I don't think she would mind me telling you. She'll probably tell you when she comes. She timed out. So she wasn't finished with the last questions, and it became 3 hours, and it was done, and it was a no pass. She took it again another day, and she just went a little bit faster, and she passed.
So you can take it more than once.
You can. It costs $10. Like if we provide the voucher for you, that will cover one time, I'm guessing, wouldn't you say, Alyssa? Unless something crazy were to happen, like a loss of internet connection or something. But I took it the first time, it booted me out. It didn't pass me, so I had to pay, and I took it again. You can, if you don't pass the first time, you have a week to retake it. You pay for it, you can retake it within a week. And then if you fail it the second time, you can still retake it, but they lengthen the amount of time between. And I'm guessing they lengthen that time in between you're trying to take it, your attempts, just so you have time to go back. That's a sign that you might need to go back and review the modules a little more closely. So that's fine. That's fine. Anything else we say, I'll get with you.
I can listen to that.
Yeah. But it's really not stressful. I mean, the test questions, after you do the 20 multiple choice questions, there are 11 sections that are application. So it makes you go into like a Gmail situation, and it'll say, send this Gmail to so-and-so, and you'll go and you'll find that person because it has all the students already in there that they want you to manipulate. It has all of the other staff members it wants you to manipulate in this made-up account. And so you do what it asks you to do. It might go to Google Calendar and say, send an invite for a meeting in such and such a room on this day and time, and set a reminder. So it takes you, I mean, all the modules take you through all this, but that's what the test questions look like. YouTube, I'm going to give you one piece of advice on this one, and write this one down. When you get ready to take your test, and you've logged in as you on the computer, go ahead and authenticate. And what I mean by authenticate, go to poker.com or wherever you go to authenticate on the machine. And you're going to go up to the little red G where you authenticate, and you're going to click that so it puts your Gmail address on the computer, because you need to authenticate that computer to be able to view those YouTube videos. I panicked. When I took the test at East, I forgot to do that. And so what happened to me, there were only like 2 questions that had to do with YouTube, but I could not view what it said to view because I did not authenticate. And once I was in the test, I was in the test. I couldn't go anywhere. So I was afraid I would not pass those questions because of that. But I did. It wasn't a problem. I answered the questions fine, I'm guessing. So it didn't really bother the score. You won't get an actual score at the end. They won't tell you how many you got right, how many you missed. So if you fail, you really don't get any information. It just says fail. But if you pass, it just says pass. So you're really not sure, what you did wrong or what, I think you probably kind of know. You'll know as you go through the process, especially the application sections, of what you just really didn't know how to find. So that's the exam in a nutshell. Anybody have questions? I know that's a lot of information.
Is there do they give you instructions on how to authenticate the?
We'll do that for you. I'll put that in the Google Classroom. I'll put a little video in there and show you how to do that. If you're ever trying to access YouTube videos or sometimes websites with certain pictures and things, you're going to show them now?
Yes.
Okay.
And everybody asks me this question. They go, if we go to poker.com, are we going to get in trouble? Are we going to be on a list somewhere? No, you're not. Because everybody, even us at the tech office, do this every day to authenticate our phones and our devices. So poker.com will take you to Lightspeed. It forces it to go to the authentication page.
So you see it has somebody else's name right there, right now. You see that? Where it says
Christina Dillingham.
Christina Dillingham. It says that. That's my computer. So
Right.
My computer, for whatever reason, you'll notice that with students too. If you try to get on a Chromebook or you try to get on your MacBook in your school and you haven't authenticated for the day, it'll say somebody else's name that was in that room. Okay?
Right.
So go ahead and hit that sign in.
So here you can do it 2 ways. You can hit the sign in and get your Google Plus, or you can say not you. Either way, and then all it's going to do is force you, if I could click on the right button, to put in your information here. I don't know yours. I could authenticate as me. Now the other confusing thing once people do this is that it comes to this page and they go, well, I put in the information here and nothing happens. I can't override it.
Right.
There's nothing else you have to do now. You're done.
You can look at the top and tell that it's going to put in.
See, I'm me now.
Yep. It says her, or for you, it's going to put in your Gmail address. It's
Right.
going to show that. And so that way you can then view videos. Because if you're trying to go to YouTube sometimes at school and you wonder, why is it not playing? What's wrong with this? That's 9 times out of 10 the reason. So, any other questions? Again, this is a, at your own pace kind of thing. If you get into it and you just feel overwhelmed, that's perfectly okay too. You can stop. You can come back to it. It doesn't time you. It doesn't, in these modules, it's not going to time you. So you have another component?
Maybe.
Okay.
I've had a couple people ask me, they said, well, how am I going to keep up with my training hours? Number one, we know you're honest, and we want you to be honest. But if you're not comfortable with that and you prefer to log your training hours, you can. We can give you this form. I've made this up that you can go to, and you can go in and submit your information when you're getting ready to do a module. Name, date, what module you're working on. This might be a good way for you to keep up with it because I'll have it, but then I can turn around and tell you what you did. And then tell us what time you started and what time you stopped working on that module and submit it. And then it's just going to go to a form for us, and then we'll have the information.
We can put that in the Google Classroom, and
Right.
then you'll have access to that.
So we'll be glad to do this if you're more comfortable that way.
What we're hoping to do is to recognize The folks who certified last year, the only ones I know of for sure that certified, myself, Stephanie Vestal, Rachel Pedler at East, and Philip Kinley at East. They all did their modules and took their assessment, and they passed that. So we're hoping to have this cohort, so then you can go back and you can be the leaders in your school, and you can help people with using these tools, because we're a Google district. All of our kids have access to Google. Now, in the CTE classes at middle school, they're still teaching Microsoft, which is fine too, because they need to know multiple ways of doing things. But Google is something that's going to be around for a while here. So it will just make your life easier and your students' lives easier if you learn as much as you can about these tools. So.
I was going to show them the classroom.
Okay. Yep.
You want me to talk? You want to talk?
You talk.
This is the Google Classroom that we will be taking you to if you choose to take this cohort with us. And so you'll have the resources here. I went in and made a discussion question as Melissa talked about the authentication for the YouTube. So as we think of things and other people that have taken it, or as you think of things we're going, this is a discussion question here within the classroom. And you can put things in. You can add comments. So I added this one. Make sure you authenticate the computer or device before you start the test. Okay? So if you've never used Google Classroom, this is kind of what it looks like. This is the presentation Melissa was just going over with you. Here's a link to the training modules. Here's some additional training. Here is a skills checklist. I can't talk today.
Click on that for just a second. I found this last year, and if you'll scroll down just a little bit, this shows you all of the different things that you'll learn how to do within each of these Google apps. And so you can kind of keep track of what you know how to do as you're going through the modules, and then you'll know where you have holes, where you need to go back and review a little more, or maybe you need to post a question in the Google Classroom so we can support you through that. I'll be checking this every so many days. Right. If you have any questions at all and you post them there, one of us three will respond and help find the answer for you. Because I'll be honest, if I was to go back through that now, because it's been a little while, I may not know all of those right now. I might have to go back and think, okay, I need to look at that a little closer. So creating your classroom roster with groups in Google Classroom. I mean, there's little things that you just don't really think about until you see it in a list. So it would help. What else, Miss Alyssa?
I think that's pretty much everything we're going to cover. Do you have any other questions about anything?
When you work through the modules, does the test automatically come up, or do you have to give y'all the information that you're finished and then you schedule it?
Whenever you finish, can you go to the website just for a second? Get out of there, or either go in the classroom and go to the training site.
Mm-hmm.
It's that page where it had. I'll wait till it gets there and then I'll show you. That one in the middle, yeah. Right there. So when you finish all of your modules and you have all those green checks, so the Get Training or the training modules, you can go to the Get Practice and take the little review assessments at the end of each module. You also will have those at the end of the training modules anyway. You don't have to go into that separate little section. But the Get Certified, that's where you'll go. You'll click there and you'll sign up to take the assessment. Within 24 hours, they'll send you your link to be able to do that. Now, from the time they send you that link in 24 hours, you have 7 days to take the test. Okay? So if something happens and you've gone ahead and signed up for it and you're not going to be able to take it in 7 days, you're going to be either out the voucher or out your $10 because they give you a week to go ahead and get in and do that. So that's an important piece of information. And so that's just where you do it. And I don't actually know right now what the vouchers look like. I don't know, and I don't know where the place is on there for that yet. We can look, I guess, and see what it says. But okay. Any other questions?
Just to be clear,
Mm-hmm.
if I go in and I have, let's say, poor internet connection, and it drops me, and I fail, I pay $10 the next time, correct?
Well, as of right now, we know we're going to give vouchers with once he gets those for one time. So that's kind of my disclaimer at the beginning of take it at a place where you know